Hello everybody, welcome back to Yakko Capital, where we look at BSV charting and related topics. Today I'll be discussing monthly, weekly, and daily on what's going on with BSV. Then we'll take a look at token swap and how you can pull, farm, and also how to calculate what you're going to make once you get out of farming. Looking at the BSV USD, I have the Fibonacci going from the top and to this wick down here. So I have it sitting there, and I'll explain right now why it's there. If we go into the weekly, back in April 12th, we had a break at all the way to 490. Then it dropped right away down here at 200. So this is a big movement, and within weeks this happened, days. And so it's important that I place it here because as it came down, it saw support and it bounced back up. So this is very important for us. When I put Fibonacci down here as support for BSV, you can see that the 1.272 holds up support for BSV. If I was to move this back down to this area, instead of this area, so if we cross that out and we move down to the bottom, you can see that we're missing out on the 1.272, and this is just holding up at where the bottom is of the previous round. This is the reason why I put it down here, because it's such a significant move from all the way up here. I can also put it here, and if I move it down there, it doesn't move much for the 1.272. Therefore, I just choose the highest one because it's the most important one. The highest one is much more important than here, right? Even though this is more recent, it's still in the ideal time frame of each other. As the chart moves upwards, then what I can do is I can switch the Fibonacci. The 0 comes down here, and the 1 goes up to the top. Then we can read the chart much better, right? Because these extensions that we have at the top, they're made for the direction of the trend. I wouldn't want these extensions down here when the trend is moving forward. That's the reason why I have the extensions facing downward during this down period, right? But it's holding fairly well. I can't say the same for BSV BTC because it keeps making lower lows. It made a lower low last week. This week it's a little scary, but if we look here at open and high, you'll see that they are both at 0.003 and then goes on 30. They're identical. So there's no wick at the top right now. I'm waiting for a wick to happen at the top. So maybe it will reverse and move forward upwards. Looking at the monthly again, I can put a trend line right here. And I usually pick this bottom here, this bottom wick. But you can pick any other wick if you like. If you go up to here and you choose all these wicks down here, then you look that it broke through, it broke down, and now it's a downwards trend. I chose to pick this wick right here. Why did I do that? Because it doesn't matter if I put the trend line along these wicks down here, because this is all in history, right? And right now we're going downward, so I need to see where potentially I can have support for BSV. Okay, and putting it down there, I can see that I have support right along this line here and right along here, right at the 1.618. So in case this does go sideways and it does drop, or if it does just drop right away, I can see that if it drops quickly, then my low is at $100. But if it goes sideways and then it drops, then it's at 110. Okay, and if we go past 1.16, then we can look at putting in the 2.272, which will help me see that if it does drop even further down, then we're looking at somewhere here. Okay, but as of now, we're holding up and it's pretty good. Jumping into the weekly now. Last week, good thing we didn't close below here. Okay, if we closed below here, then it wouldn't be so good. But we closed above, and then now this week is just testing the bottoms that we put in last week. and it looks like it might reverse, but who knows. I'll pull out the MACD and the slope EMA that I have. The MACD is basically telling me that in June 12th to July 19th, this is what it was looking at. This is the low of the MACD. Now that it's making closer lows, it's not a divergence yet because you have this one going upwards like that, and they're not diverging, right? But you can see that even though this low is as close as this, there's a big difference between this and this. So that's a good sign. Let me turn on the EMA so we can see where it's headed. And the EMA is basically going sideways. But if we look at the slope of the EMA, it is in the negative right now. So that means the slope of the EMA, even though to the eye it looks fairly straight, but the slope is actually at negative 0.513. The slope here was a lower negative than the slope here. And the slope here is not as bad as the slope down here. Basically, numbers are telling us that there is a move to the upside. But we all know how the market is. It can choose to do whatever it wants. Now let's go into the daily. This is the Fibonacci I have on the daily, which was related to the monthly and the weekly. So there's the top, and then there's the bottom that came in to make another high, right? This is why I've chosen the Fibonacci to stop down here, because it's working fairly well for the support here and it's telling me what's going on. And this line right here is the trend line that I drew from prior. So you can see how if it does break through the 1.618, we have this here possibly to support us. Looking at the MACD, we're going to look over here. We're going to look over here and over here, okay? We're not going to look so much over here, okay? Because this was such a major drop that these three aren't really paying attention to that. And in my view, in my perspective is, we're looking at the MACD right here. See how low these are? This is the lowest low. Okay, and here's the MACD right there. And then we have this one here, which is a higher low. And we have right here, which is a higher low. Now look at the difference of the MACD, okay? This is what I want you guys to see is that as we making higher lows, the MACD is hitting harder. Okay, it's going deeper in the negatives. But the moving averages have shifted downwards, right? I'm not worried, even if it goes lower, even if it goes to 100 or whatnot. I think it's just accumulating. And once it goes to the upside, 250, 300, 400, we're going to all be laughing if we accumulated down here. And you can also look at the slope of the EMA that I have for the 130. Let me just turn that back on. And you can see here, as the EMA was going up, the slope was going up as well of the EMA, okay? And this slope over here was much higher than this slope right here. As it came down, the slope was lower than -1. Then it made a lower low. And the slope was very similar to the previous one, right? But it's a lower low. So you'd assume that the slope would be much steeper. Then it made another similar low, higher low, but the slope had changed. So it's taking longer to make lows. And then it rallied up a little bit, and now it made another low down here. And you can see the slope is still much higher than the previous lows over here and over here. So there's a transition in the EMA moving average. As the slope turns into positives, that means that the EMA is going to turn into positives. Now, it's obviously not 100% that this won't go down and make the slope drop lower and the EMA drop lower. It seems it's going sideways slowly, and then it's going to start turning upwards. Okay, now let's get to the token swaps. I played around with this a little bit, and I'm going to explain just what I understand. I talked to Kurt to understand what was going on, because when I first started using this, I had no idea. I felt like I was losing money, but actually I doubled my BSV. So it was very, very awkward to me. I didn't know how to use it. And so I did some research on YouTube, and I'll show you guys those videos on those channels later. Just right now, I just want to explain something in my own way. And if you have any questions, let me know. So basically, you come in with BSV, you link your wallet, your balance is right here. Right now, one BSV is 617. So if I was to put one BSV here, I need 617 TSC. In order to pool on TokenSwap, you have to have equivalent. So I need 50% BSV and 50% TSC in order to put money in the pool. And so when you come here and you have a balance of 1.97, or you have a balance of 2, then you would do 1 here to transfer to TSC, and then you would have 1 BSV here, and you'd have 617 in your balance here. Okay? My balance right now of TSC is obviously 0 because I've pulled whatever I had, and it's not much because I'm just trying it out. So then you pool it, then you have your balance, and your balance is your BSV to your TSC. Now this is where it gets a little complicated, okay? So there's a couple of numbers you need to understand here, and it's still a little complicated to me, but I'm going to try my best to go through with this. This price right here is if you take BSV and you divide it by the TSC amount, okay? That'll give you this number here. You have to think of it this way, okay? X is BSV and Y is TSC. For the sake of just making it simple, the BSV is on this side, call that for X, and on the right side you have TSC, USDT, MC, BOX, and OVTS. That can be Y. Okay? And they will have to equal K. Assuming K has to be a constant number, has to say constant, these will change. Here's the kicker. Okay? We know that USDT doesn't change. It stays $1, right? But as the numbers of USDT go up, BSV goes down. There's variables. It's a little tricky, okay? The USDT is very constant. It's $1 for whatever USDT. So every time a USDT comes in, it's just $1 goes up. If it comes out, $1 goes out. With BSV, because one BSV can fluctuate, and right now it being at 126, okay, at 126, if it goes to 300, this will drop by half. Because K is in dollar amounts. K is in dollar amounts. If this is USDT and there's 3 million, okay, 3.5 million, that means BSV has to equal 3.5 million. BSV right now is at 126. So you would need 27 BSV to equal 3.5 million. But if BSV doubles in amount and it goes from 126, it goes to 260, okay? If BSV doubles in amount in dollar values, then this will go in half. That's how it works. Now, if BSV drops to say half of what it is, then this would double. Okay? It would go to 55,000 BSV. Okay, that's for USDT. Okay? Because they have to equal this times this equals K. Because this is constant, it's always $1. In terms of price fluctuation, it's not a big factor. There's no factor there. It just fluctuates if people put in more USDT or take out more USDT. This will affect this. If BSV price goes up, BSV drops. The amount of BSV in here drops. If BSV price goes down, BSV in numbers go up. Okay? Where it gets complicated is with coins that do fluctuate in price. TSC fluctuates in price. And we saw that here because a few days ago, one BSV was 406 TSC. Now it's gone up by 50%. So if TSC goes up by 50%, this gets reduced. So the price of this equals the price of BSV. Okay? And right now, so X is BSV, Y is TSC. This times this has to equal, let's say, whatever K is. It can be $100 million or $1 billion. So again, X is BSV and Y is TSC. They have to equal K. K is set, predefined, whatever, right? And you have TSC right here, and you have BSV right here. Okay? These are dollar amounts. So don't think of BSV numbers. Think of BSV as in dollars. That means you have to look at what BSV is equal to today. Okay? So if BSV doesn't change, it stays at 18,846. And BSV goes from 126 down to 100. TSC has to increase in price. Because let's assume no one's putting money in, no one's taking money out. First of all, you swap your tokens here, so you make sure you have 50-50 of each. Then you come to the pool. Okay, the pool will require you to put 50-50. So if you put 0.8 BSV, and then you have to match it with 493 in your balance. Okay, so 493 in your balance would equal to, if you go to the swap, you'd have to come here, put that much in, you would swap 0.8 BSV, then you'd have this in your wallet, you pay, you receive, then you come to the pool. The pool will have your input, you click on how much ever you want to put. My balance is 0 right now. Okay, then you change it. Then you come here. Then you deposit the amount of liquidity pool you have. Okay. See my number right here? I've already have some in the liquidity pool. It's 0.0315. This number is right here. My LP balance, liquidity pool, BSV, TSC balance. I'm having this pulled right now because you make, I believe, a certain percent over the trades. So I have some in the liquidity pool, some in the farming, and that's that. My balance in the farm right now is 0.1567. Okay? This number stays the same, but it changes if this number changes. Okay, and here's what I mean. So you're farming, okay, whatnot, and you come to withdraw your money, and you go to max, and you have this amount, 0.156726. So you come in the farm, and you have this much amount in your balance, okay? So I'll just copy this balance. I don't want to copy this because there's too many decimal places. So I'll just copy this, and we'll go to the pool. The pool you have add with liquidity here. I don't want to add liquidity. I want to see how much I'm going to get back and check. I paste. It won't show the exact amount I have. Okay? It's only showing the maximum I have to withdraw out of the pool right now, which is 0.143 BSV. So, but I'm pasting. So you see how there's a 0.0 here? I can't post anything higher than these numbers. So what I do to check how much I'll get back is I leave the 0 there and I paste my number of 1567. So let me remove the decimal and the 0. And so the 0 is still there because of this. Okay? My original number should be 0.1567, but I'm putting a 0 right here. You see how everything changes? Right now it's at 100% because it can't read this. I can only read this. So if I click this number, watch, this won't change if I click this. See that? But if I put my number in from the farm, it still won't change. So I put a 0 in here to trick the system or to let it calculate, and then it tells me. But when I calculate it here, I have to remove this 0 here, and I have to move this decimal. These decimals, I have to basically move them one side over because I have my 0 right here. So I would actually be getting back 0.7. Forget this 0 and move this decimal place over here. So I'd be getting back 0.712 BSV, and I'd be getting back 438 TSC, not 43. But I originally put in 0.9. I originally put in 0.9 BSV. So I'm losing money if I were to pull out right now. Okay? And some people would say, well, you can harvest your farming. Well, you farmed 107 TSC. Yeah, 107 TSC is only a fraction because this has now gone up to 616 TSC for 1 BSV, where a few days ago it was 430. What's important to understand is this number is very important for you to have if you're looking to cash out BSV more than TSC, okay? If you want to have more BSV, the lower this number goes, the more you can make through your harvesting. So assume that TSC to BSV drops 1-to-1. I just made 107 BSV. If it's 1 TSC equals 1 BSV. Okay? If 1 BSV equals 100 TSC, then I've just made 100 TSC right here, which is equivalent to 1 BSV. So go through and see how much you can withdraw if you deposit, and then you hit remove liquidity here, and you can check how much you'll get back. Because what happens is they divide this based on how much 1 BSV is. So the lower TSC goes, the more this changes. Okay? Anyways, that's it for today. I'll put this link into the description and you guys can have a look through it and read it. The formula is not complex of x times y equals k, but the idea of the numbers changing as people buy and sell out of the liquidity pool and an AMM, and also the price fluctuation of the actual token itself. So you have multiple factors that can affect how much you can take out and take in, and I just showed you a simple formula just to see how much you'll get back. I will post some videos off of YouTube channels that explain token swap a little better. It's all about DeFi and liquidity pool and farming. So that should help you out. It will take a little longer to understand watching the videos, but once you understand the main idea, then it's easy to do from there. All right, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. This video I think is a little longer than other ones, and I just wanted to explain token swap. Take care. Cheers.